Joining us now, former federal prosecutor Katie Cherkasky, America's first legal vice president. He's Gene Hamilton. Katie, first to you. The White House today making things much worse, doing damage control on the president's catastrophically bad press conference last night. Katie was yelling at reporters. But Katie, what do you make of these new reports coming in? The White House counsel office is bullying and demanding Special Counsel Robert Hur revise and take out from his report his assessment of President Biden's cognitive decline. What do you think?
Well, I think that the White House wants it both ways. Essentially, Hur's commentary on Biden's faculties was the sole justification for why he did not proceed with an indictment. Because on the facts and on the evidence, there's certainly enough to proceed with indicting him for wrongful retention of classified materials. The justification for not proceeding with that was based, again, on his lack of mental faculties, which Hur suggested would lead to problems securing a conviction. Now, that is arguable, in my opinion, but certainly that was the bone that he threw them. So I don't know exactly what they're looking for. I guess both.
You know, what Katie just said, on top of that, you know, the thing is, Gene, he's not allowed as vice president or U.S. senator to have U.S. secrets at all. He was blaming his own staff for keeping U.S. secrets in multiple locations, like his, basement den, his garage, in open boxes on things like Afghanistan and more. What do you think?
Look, we are in a strange world today in which Donald Trump is being prosecuted for essentially the same exact thing that Joe Biden is alleged to have done here. And the American people can see the pictures for themselves. They see the pictures of the garage with the box that's falling apart, which is supposedly full of classified documents. And just as Katie just articulated, one of the primary reasons why the special counsel didn't recommend going forward with prosecution was because of Joe Biden's mental faculties. And as others have pointed out, if you are in such a bad place as an individual that you cannot be prosecuted for a criminal offense, then how in the world are you properly serving and competently serving as president of the United States?
You know, you could see it in real time, Katie, with that catastrophic press conference last night. You could see the condition of the president. And many are asking, even the fact that he called the presser last night from the White House, historically unusual, is an indication of mental health problems. Let's please watch what happened. Watch the president fighting with reporters. Watch this.
In addition, I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? I take responsibility for not having seen exactly what my staff was doing.
President Biden, something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing.
How bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad I let you speak. That's
your memory has gotten worse, Mr. President?
My memory is not good. My memory is fine.
Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
Why are you confusing the names of world leaders?
I did not share classified information. I did not share it. With your ghostwriter? With my ghostwriter, I did not.
Okay, CNN, Katie's already saying that last comment is false and wrong. He made multiple false statements here. Katie, people are saying America is a place where the president's own DOJ special counsel said he's, as Gene was saying, said he's mentally unfit to be on trial, but not to be president. I mean, House lawmakers are saying Special Counsel Hur release the full transcript of your interview with the president so Americans can see for themselves. What do you think?
I mean, it's just very circular. Obviously, he's saying that he's fine and his memory is great. Americans have seen otherwise. It's been in our face for quite some time here. And again, the only reason that he's not being indicted, according to her, is because of that very particular issue. And so if he is fit to stand trial, then perhaps he should be indicted. And on the other hand, if we're only to believe part of Hur's report that the prosecution would be inappropriate, but we shouldn't believe the other part about why he can't go to trial, we're really left with absolutely an illogical conclusion here.
Yeah, that's right. So if he's unfit to stand trial, it means he broke the law, Gene. You know, the other thing, too, is this president continues to mislead America, Gene. CNN says he made at least 3 factual errors last night that were not true. He claimed he kept U.S. secrets under lock and key. He did not. He said, quote, none of it was highly classified. That was false. And that he said he did not share classified secrets with his ghostwriter when the special counsel said, yes, he did. Gene.
Look, we're talking about the same man whose press conference last night to clean all of this up involved him speaking of being the president for Americans in red and green states and opening humanitarian pathways from Mexico to Gaza. There is a clear problem that is present. The American people see it. We've all had elderly relatives or friends who have been in this stage of life. The fact that Joe Biden and his allies and his associates are trying to hide all of this from the American people should be a crime in and of itself. This is someone whose every word is analyzed on the international stage by our adversaries, our allies, and everyone in between. The fact that he is allowed to go up there and make such just bumble-mouthed statements is ridiculous. It's insane. It's putting all of us at risk.
Got it. Katie Cherkasky, Gene Hamilton, thank you both for joining us tonight. It's good to see you.